everyone, it's Jamie and welcome back to my channel and welcome to another cross-stitching video. In this video I am excited because I am going to be showing you my Christmas/winter finishes and current whips, which a whip is a work in progress. So I have pulled them all out, gotten them all together. I have a list here, so if you see me looking down, I will be looking at a list that has like what fabric I stitched some of the things on, because some of them were stitched a little while ago, a little bit. So let's just get started, shall we? So the first one that I will show is the Tiny Christmas Stitch Along, which was from Armada Designs. I stitched this one quite a while ago, probably like at least maybe 8 years ago. I don't even remember. And this was a stitch along. Every few days, I think, there would be like a tiny little piece released, and then it made this little cute Christmassy scene. And I stitched this on a 32 count fabric, 2/2 full cross. This was just one of those fabrics from, I think, like Joann's, like their linen, so it wasn't like the best quality fabric to be stitching on, but I do like the way it looks. And I think this was my first time stitching 2/2 on a linen. And then I just finished it into a little pillow, so it's easy to like pull out and be on display. So this is one of my first ones. I love it. Cute and tiny. The next one I will show is more of like just a winter one and not necessarily a Christmas one. And that is Mini Home is Where the Magic Is, which is artwork by Randall Spangler, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. And here is Mini Home is Where the Magic Is. I am in love with this piece. I really love the Randall Spangler houses, and the only thing is they're huge, which is why the mini is nice, because I probably never would have been able to finish the full size mini Home is Where the Magic Is. But the mini makes it a lot more manageable, and you do lose some detail like in like the fairy and stuff, but you can still, when you look at it from far away, you still get the overall like the vibe and the feel of the piece without it being huge. I think this piece was under 100,000 stitches. It might have been closer to like 60,000. I don't exactly remember. And this was stitched on a 28 count 2/1 half cross. And then for finishing, I just like literally got like a mat, a board. And then I think this is the same fabric from the pillow, and I just sewed it on, which I had to hand sew it because at the time I did not have a sewing machine, so it's not sewn on the best. And then I added some stuffing, and then I normally just keep it displayed on a shelf like that. So it normally just stays up all year on the shelf, and I love this piece. It's so cute. And like I said, I really love the Randall Spangler houses. I have some of them, like the charts. I just have not started them because, like I said, they're pretty big, so it's like they are a commitment to stitch. The next piece I will show is one that I actually stitched on my channel. It was a piece I stitched during Flossmas, I think 2 years ago, maybe. And it's the advent calendar from Doreen Jones on Etsy. And I used Picture This Plus fabric in the color Fresco. So here is my advent from Doreen Jones. And the way it's charted is each piece is individual with this border. And so what I did is I took out most of the borders for the other pieces, and then I just did a border using DMC variegated floss in this Christmassy color. And then I just made each one like a little box and then stitched them all together instead of as individual pieces. So this was really fun, and I think the way I did it is every day I was stitching one box. So I had done all the border, and then on December 1st I stitched the first guy, and then I just kept going each day, which was kind of crazy because some of them took a long time. Like the snow globe, that was a long day because that had quite a few stitches, but then some of them were pretty easy. Like the wreath didn't have a ton of stitching, and the lights were also really easy. But I really love this piece. It comes out now every year, and it's one that I actually fully finished because some of my pieces aren't framed or anything yet. So I love this one, and I think I mentioned this is Picture This Plus Fresco. It's, I think, a 16 count, and I did it 2/1 full cross. So that can go there. I'm trying to organize like what I've shown versus what still needs to be shown and not get things kind of messed up. So the next one I will show is a Stardew Valley winter or Christmas. And this is from Glitch Stitch AU on Etsy. And I also have stitched the fall one, which I showed in my Halloween / fall finishes video, and that's up there. And I did finish the winter one, and I think at the time that I stitched these had slightly different stitch dimensions. And so this one is a slightly smaller, so there is more of the fabric that shows in the frame. And I think they have been recharted to all be the same size now, which is very nice. And I would like to one day do summer and spring because I love these sets. They're so cute. And so like look at the little doggy and then the presents. And I think that you can also change them out now to be either a dog or a cat. So if you would rather have a cat, you can have a cat. But yeah, they're just very cute and they don't take that long to stitch. So yeah, this was on a 28 count, 2 over 1 half cross. I don't know if I had said that. The next one I will show is one that I have not fully finished, and it is the Tiny Modernist Xmas Village. And this was a stitch along one year, and I actually finished it during the stitch along, which like crazy, right? Because I have a lot of other stitch alongs that I did not keep up with, but I did keep up with this one, which is good because otherwise I don't know if I would have got it finished. So this is on Picture This Plus Herald. It's a nice like greeny fabric. And I think this is an 18 count. And I stitched this one 1 over 1 full cross because 2 strands on 18 count, especially a dyed 18 count, can get kind of tight sometimes. And so I was just trying out 1 over 1. And I love this one. It's like a scene. So on the top you have a tree farm, and then you have some like kids skating, which is very cute. And I did change the skin tones and the hair colors so that we would have, you know, some diversity in the piece. And then down there you have, you know, the sledding going on and the snowman building, which is very cute. And then at the end was Santa Claus. So I love the way the piece looks. Stitching it got really tedious, and the reason why is because each section has these trees that are basically the exact same. So every release you are basically doing more of the same trees and then more of these snowflakes, which the snowflakes are pretty similar too. So it was just like a lot of the same thing and also a lot of either white or I don't know if it was B5200, but a lot of snow. And so yeah, it got kind of tiring towards the end. So I was really happy when it was finished. Like I love the way these stitch alongs look, but stitching them can be a little tedious. I also have another Tiny Modernist stitch along, and this one is actually finished. And this was Santa's house, and I stitched this on Picture This Plus icon. I think this stitch along came out the year before the village one did. So I had done this one first. And this one also was, you know, a lot. And the reason why is because each of the rooms in the house were a release in the stitch along. But I think the like house itself was the border that came out before, and it's a lot. Like it was a lot to stitch, you know, for a border. So this one's really cute though. I really love this because you have all the cute things. You know, you have the little dining room with the desserts. You have Mrs. Claus baking cookies and the elf making toys and decorating, and then, you know, Santa up at the top. You know, Santa, he's not doing a lot of work. He gets all the credit, but what is he doing right there? Nothing. I guess he does have to deliver all the presents, but he's not working hard here. Everyone else is doing work, but like I said, I love this one. I love Christmas. And this was I think 16 count, 18 count, 2 over 1 full cross, and adorable. Love it. And this one I just put on a canvas because I am a lazy finisher. So that's the thing why I haven't fully finished the village one, is I can't decide if I want to put it on a canvas or if I want to make it into a pillow. And I kind of lean towards making it into a pillow because there's not always a ton of wall space for all these things. So possibly making it into a pillow. maybe find like a nice, what color fabric for the back of a pillow if I made a pillow. A part of me wants to say like a red, but then a part of me says like just do like a blue, a bluey green. I don't know. I am not good with making decisions, is part of the problem. So there was that one, and then I will show my other unfinished piece that's not framed. So I fully stitched it, but not framed, and this was finished in like 2019 maybe, I don't remember. And this is the Toy Box by Donna Gelsinger, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. It's a big one. It was my first finish that was over 100,000 stitches, I think. And it was my first finish on 28 count, I think. And I did this one 2/1 half cross. This was actually my second Heaven and Earth Designs start, because the first chart I ever got from them was Tarot Town 2. And then what happened is I didn't have a lot of charts at the time. I was like a monogamous stitcher. And then I got Tarot Town 2, and I joined the Heaven and Earth bulletin board where people had like tons of projects. And so I finished like one page of Tarot Town 2 and then was like, what if I just get one more project? But it's a winter project. So, you know, I'll rotate between my, you know, everyday piece and then my winter piece. And then I had this. And then, you know, that spiraled very quickly. I went from being like one winter piece to like, I just should have one piece that has a fairy or something. Cause like I ended up I was stitching a Ruth Sanderson piece for a while from Haid, which I ended up quitting. But yeah, it spiraled so fast. This was also a piece where I learned a lot, because this was my first tent stitch piece, because I saw people in like the Haid group talking about tent stitch and, you know, it goes faster and all that. So I was like, I want to try that. And so this was my first 28 count, my first tent stitch. It's very thick. This fabric is just a fabric from Joann's. It was not the best quality. So, you know, learning experience is get better quality fabric. Like this one here, might be able to tell it's super uneven. So like this top part is super loose all up here, and then it gets tighter, and it's not the best fabric. I also, at the time, didn't have Pattern Keeper. You know, this was earlier. When was this? I think I might have started this in maybe 2013, because I think I only had one kid at the time. Yeah, so I also had so much more free time back when I was doing all these things. I was like, why not have a few, you know, over 100,000 piece cross-stitch pieces? I have so much time. Anyways, I also was stitching it by page, which you can see I did get page lines, which is usually because like your tension changes, because like if you're ending all your threads going like one direction because the page ended, and then you're starting threads going in that direction, you can kind of get like a little line of where the tension is like kind of getting a little bit tighter. And so yeah, I learned not to do that. No page lines anymore. I also got Pattern Keeper during the time that I was working on this project. So this first section took me forever. And then I got Pattern Keeper somewhere around here when I was doing all the confetti in the trees, because I hated the confetti in the trees when I was using a paper pattern. It was awful because there would be like colors just like sprinkled all over, you know, like little sprinkles. And I would do a few stitches and then I would think the color was done, and then I would realize that there was like another stitch over there I had missed of that color, and I'd have to pull it back out. And then Pattern Keeper came out, and it just, everything changed because I could see exactly where the stitches went. It got so much more efficient. I was able to get so much faster, and it was a miracle. I don't think I would have been able to finish this piece without Pattern Keeper. And so here it is, all of it, the bottom. I fully do love this piece. I do need to finish it somehow. I just don't know yet how I want to do it. Like if I should just make like a wall hanging, because I don't really want to frame it with like glass and everything, because I don't want it to be like a super heavy thing, and also something that's really hard to store during the winter, or I could just leave it out all the time. But I think a wall hanging would be good, you know, something that I could like roll up when I don't need it. So that's something to think about. And we are getting, I think, close to the end of the finishes. So next I will show another Haid piece, Heaven and Earth Designs. And this is Christmas presents, and this is a stitch along piece. So this is like a little cropped portion that they released as a stitch along in the bulletin board group. And this is artwork from Miles Pinkney, and I really love this. This chart was only 4 pages, and only one of them was a full-size page. So there was one full size and then like a little piece, and then a little piece. And yet it has so much going on. It's just adorable. And I stitched this on 18 count 2/1 full cross because I didn't want it to be like tiny. Like if I had stitched it on a 28 count, the finished size would have been super small because it's only, 4 pages. So I figured that a 18 count would give me a good size. And I just stuck it into a frame when I was finished, and it works well. I have displayed it every year since it's been done. Actually, I think it's been up on my wall the last like year and a half probably because I just was too lazy to take it down and put something else there. So it's just stayed there. I think it's normally like, what is it right here? Right there. That's where Santa goes. And the last piece I have is one that has a little bad word. So if you don't, I won't read it out fully, so I won't say the bad word in case there's ears that don't want to hear bad words. But this was one from Christmas Vacation. I found this chart on Etsy, and it was from, where is it? PDX Stitch Shop on Etsy, and it's a Christmas Vacation quote. That's just what it was called. And it says, when Santa squeezes his fat white bum down that chimney tonight, he's gonna find the jolliest bunch of this side of the nut house. And I love Christmas Vacation. So when I saw this, I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna stitch this because it's funny. And everyone in my family loves that movie. And so I thought it was perfect. Perfect. And then I just added these Santa Claus ornaments that my grandma had made when I was younger. She used to make wooden ornaments and then paint them. And I just thought it would be funny to add them because, it says when Santa, and then you have Santa here when he squeezes his butt down the chimney. But yeah, I love this movie. And this was a 28 count fabric. I think it might have been something from like Hobby Lobby or something back in the day. And I did it 2/2 full cross as charted, except I think there was supposed to be like a border of lights, but I didn't want to stitch the border because I just wanted it to be finished so I could hang it up. And then I just stuck it on a canvas like I have done with other things. So that is all of the finishes. I think I'm just gonna go through the paper real quick. Oh, things that I will talk about, like mention briefly, but I showed them in my Halloween/fall finishes, is I also have Nightmare Before Christmas, which is hanging on the wall there, which is from an Etsy shop, but I did show that in my fall/Halloween finishes. So if you want to see that, it's in that video. And then I also have Festive Frosted Pumpkin Cottage from Witchy Stitcher, which I also showed in the fall Halloween video. So I'm not going to show them again, especially because I still have not framed Festive Frosted Pumpkin Cottage. So, you've seen it recently. So whips. I need to go and gather up my current whips, and then I will be back to show you what I currently have as projects for Christmas and winter. All right, we will start off with the Christmas whips, so the ones that are like specifically Christmas themed. And the first one I will show is Santa's on His Way, which is by Charting Creations. I have worked on this recently because it is in my Advent box that I am doing for my little Flossmas Advent cross stitchy thing in December. And so here is Santa's on His Way. This is on a 28 count 2/1 half cross. You can't really see the trees because there's so many parked threads down there, but I did start working around the edge because, I don't know, it's kind of like doing a puzzle. Like if you go and stitch around the edge, like when I do a puzzle, I have an Advent puzzle that I'm actually currently doing. It's out there. I usually like to find all the edge pieces and then you like work your way in. So I think sometimes it's kind of fun to like go around the edge of a project. And then you can start working your way in and fill in the areas that you want to see, which usually for me, if I'm doing a puzzle, I usually like you do the edge and then you start trying to do like easy things like the house. If there's a house, I will do the house. And then the sky usually gets left for the end because it's like, the sky's usually harder to put together, at least in my opinion. So there was Santa's on His Way. Then I have Christmas 2, which I just worked on recently. This one is artwork by Ciro Marchetti and charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. This has the smallest little star on it, which is kind of sad. And I've been working on it for like, what, a year or two, I think, at this point. So I need to do a lot more and make more progress on this. This one is on a 32 count because I wanted the finished size to be smaller because this is a pretty large piece. I think it's over 300,000 stitches, but I am cropping off. I think I'm cropping off one of the 10 stitch high rows or blocks at the top. And then on the side with the tree, I am cutting off some stitches. And so I think I cut off like 30,000 stitches of just kind of things that didn't really need to be there. So at least I made it a little bit smaller for myself. This will be worked on again during Flossmas because I think it was in my box at least a couple times and I've only pulled it out so far once. So it should get some more work in December, which it desperately needs more work. Next is my last, like, specifically Christmas project, and it's the 12 Movie Nights of Christmas stitch along from Atomic Tiki Pins, and this is on an 18 count fabric that I dyed myself, and each of these outside blocks is going to be a different Christmas movie, and there are 24 movies that you're given, so you can pick the one that you would like to be included, so you don't have to necessarily do exactly like the Grinch if you don't want to do the Grinch. I know, like, I'm not a huge fan of the Grinch, and especially, like, there's so many of them at this point, and, well, like, the best one to me is, like, the older, shorter animated one. There is the newer animated one, which I don't think is as good as the Jim Carrey one, but then I also know that some people don't like the Jim Carrey one. There's a lot of too many Grinches. Anyways, there is my 12 Movie Nights of Christmas stitch along. It's the smallest of my Christmas pieces by far. I think this is only 24,000 stitches, but it's taken me a long time to get anywhere on it. Next, I will show, I have two pieces that are more of just winter themed. They're not necessarily Christmas, there is no Santa or anything involved. They are just a nice winter scene because I do love a good snowy scene, which is kind of funny because I think of winter, obviously, like, I am in the northern hemisphere, I think of winter as snowy, whereas it's always interesting that there's people where their winter is not the same. Like, you know, they don't have snow in the winter and then their winter is in our summer, and so, like, they don't necessarily think of Christmas and winter together. Because, like, this piece is a winter one. It's Heaven on Earth 2, so there actually is, like, the tree with, like, lights, there's snow, which for other places they have summer when it's Christmas. I don't know. It's always crazy to me. Like, what do Christmas decorations look like in places where it's summer at Christmas? Do they have snow or do you have, like, beachy scenes? Does that make sense? I'm always curious. So here is Heaven on Earth 2. This is from Charting Creations. I don't think I'm holding this right. I am not holding this right. That is how little I have done. So I started in the corner. I used my puzzle thing about skies, and skies are hard to do and they're boring, and I feel that way about this piece a lot. I started here because I was like, let's get the boring part out of the way, and then I think because I am in the boring part, I don't really ever feel the desire to work on it, so I should probably move to something funner, like a building. So I have, like, little pieces of the building started, and maybe I just need to work down and do a fun area, and that would get me more motivated to work on this one again. This is on a 28 count 2/1 half cross. I think I might try and pull this one out in January, you know, after all the Christmas holiday stuff is over, and work on a little bit of a snowy scene, especially because, like, where I live, we are more likely to get snow in January or February, so that is, like, snowy time for us. What if I do, like, I think there's some people, I think was Jessie Marie Does Stuff, someone where for a while she, like, whenever it snowed, had a piece she worked on. Maybe I should do that. Whenever it snows, maybe work on, like, Heaven on Earth 2 or something. Possibly. We only really get, like, one good snow in a season, though, so usually we'll get, like, snow and then it lasts, like, a week and then it's gone and then that's it. That's our winter. So that would be something fun to possibly do. My last winter piece is Cozy Winter Booknook, which is artwork by Rose Kahn, charted by Pain Free Crafts. And here is, like, I have to hold it really far out because I've been working kind of everywhere. So I started in this corner. I used the lights to work my way over to the flowers and the clock, and then I have been stitching recently on the window, so that's really fun to see all the little areas that I have got going on. I do like to, you know, stitch around, enjoy the scenery. This is on a 25 count 2/1 half cross. And yeah, it's just, I love this. It's 500,000 stitches though, so I'll be working on this forever, but I will hopefully enjoy working on it forever because it's so fun. That is all of my finishes and current projects for winter and Christmas, which how many times can I say winter and Christmas? And I had originally thought about showing some of my like charts that I own but haven't started, and then I was like, that would be way too long because it's my favorite season, my favorite time of year, so we're not gonna do that now anyways. Maybe I'll do that like in the summer, Christmas in July or something. I don't know. But thank you everyone for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!